Big good evening and welcome to Manchester for MMTV Lockdown. We are live from Marlett Mancunia Studios. Thank you for joining us tonight for what is going to be an amazing night of rock and roll entertainment. I'm Dave Sweetmore. I'm going to be taking you through the night, and obviously with everything that's going on in the world, first of all, we do hope you're safe and well. Wherever you are watching this from, please share it. Let's get it all around the world. We are Manchester's premier online rock and roll television channel, bringing you the best in legends and, of course, local unsigned music. Now, first of all, we do need to tell you, wherever you are watching this from, if you're watching it live at home or if you're watching it later on our YouTube channel, it is Manchester. It is rock and roll TV, so if you're watching with the kids, we do need to warn you, there probably will be a little bit of effing this and effing that, so we've warned you. And the other thing, of course, we've got loads of legendary guests tonight. Any views and opinions you hear tonight are those of our guests and not those of MMTV. Anyway, let's crack on. What have we got tonight for you? We've got some great live music for you tonight. One of the most talked about bands in Manchester, Scuttlers, are going to be playing live later on. One of the bands leading the forefront of the massive music scene in Wigan at the moment, Stanleys, they're going to be playing live, and the brilliant Steele and The Massacre are also going to be here. And we've got a room full of legends. Two of the most noted photographers in Manchester, Paul Husband and Truster Fox, a.k.a. Nidge Saunders, are going to be here. We're going to be having a chat to them about what life's like during the lockdown. And legendary DJ and author Dave Haslam is going to be talking to us about the lockdown, what he's been up to, how he's been coping, and about his latest series of books as well. But to start the show, a band have come from Failsworth to be with us tonight. This is the brilliant Shade.
You all right?
She said to me, why don't you forget it? 'Cause I can think of something your mind. 'Cause I don't believe we're trying to make a red flag, but making memories on your side. And they'll never die. So how high is the sun? I couldn't make this last forever, and God knows if I could. When you cry, it's no fun. But the sun will keep on shining. I need to know right till I'm gone. She said to me, why don't you forget her? She's like a man of funny letter. In your mind. And all I will say is remember where you came from, 'cause it's the reason why you're made for. 'Cause it's far the sky. So how high is the sun? I couldn't make this last forever, and God knows if I could. When you cry, it's no fun. But the sun will keep on shining. I need to know right till I'm gone. If the sky was a sea and the sea was a sky, would you jump in at heaven and swim while you fly? I can't smile when you're looking at me. I find it in your eyes and I'm in ecstasy. 'Cause if the sky was a sea and the sea was a sky, would you jump in at heaven and swim while you fly? I can't smile when you're looking at me. I find out fire rise, and now I couldn't make this last forever, and Some nights I stay up in my castle waiting for my queen, who never fails to drive me insane. 'Cause I'm the giant who began all by day. She was the one to take me away. She was the one to find the key to the cage. We won't fall. We'll build this wall together and stand the test of time. We won't live. Rely on one another. Forever we will fight. So nights I wake up from that nightmare in my paradise. I can't save a soul, so they say. The only brought my own world to an end. I saw those beacons to descend. Before my eyes the world was crashing down. We won't fall. We'll build this world together and stand the test of time. We won't live. Rely on one another. Forever we will climb. Some nights I stay up in my castle waiting for my queen. You never fail to drive me insane. Some nights I wake up from a nightmare in my paradise. I can't save the soul, or so they say. Change my mind, give me something to believe in. I don't sleep at night, but it don't stop me from dreaming. I've got my head in the clouds, put my shoes on her right feet, just hasn't coming around. She said to me, the stars are at our time, in the shadows of the light, through the apple of your eye. Lows are this the other eye. Your name's hidden in the sky, but nothing's ever done. How did we get so high? Why we're chasing the soul? Change my mind, still got nothing to believe in. But what lies behind is the truth that looks deceiving. You've got my blood in your hands, 'cause you sat in a wrong seat. I knew you would understand when she said to me, the stars are right outside, in the shadows of the light, through the apple of your eye. Long as I see your light, your name's written in the sky, but nothing's ever done. How did we get so high? Why we're chasing the sun? Stars are right outside, in the shadows of the light, through the apple of your eye. This one's our single, it's called Never Die. Sing along at home, with all the words. Sat in a room with blacked out blinds and the walls painted gold. A figure of your imagination casts a shadow, and I can see the lights on. Now the walls are painted red, and now I'm sat here thinking, are you okay? Is she okay? And I know Sally isn't dead. She's already told you the grass is greener than we know, the skies are blue. And I know Sally isn't dead. She'll never die. She's keeping the lights on through the cold and stormy nights. Spinning in circles, swimming in time for the rest of our lives. Mission control, that's something wrong, but I don't know why. 'Cause maybe it's not happening, but we all just can't assume. 'Cause in my heart there's a fire, and it's any strength for the moon. And I know Sally isn't dead. She's already told you the grass is greener than we know, the skies are blue. And I know Sally isn't dead. She'll never die. She's keeping the lights on through the cold and stormy night. And I know Sally isn't dead. She's already told you the grass is greener than we know, the skies are blue. And I know Sally isn't dead. She'll never die. She's keeping the lights on through the cold and stormy night. And I know Sally isn't dead. She's already told you the grass is greener than we know, the skies are blue. And I know Sally isn't dead. You'll never die. She's keeping the lights on through the cold and stormy nights. Got one more. If you can bear to listen. You've been talking to the ghost in your dreams. He said the future's what you make it and the past is what it seems. He used to shine his light out into my eyes. He used to make me feel electrical now. He tells me stories all about his old friends. It's real in the skies and put his hand in the letters that he sent. He used to come to me on my deepest dreams. He used to say me by myself and I know world about to be. I think she's crazy, she's out of her mind. She lights up the sunset, she turns to the sky. I'm coming happy when you're by my side. Sometimes I'm lonely and it feels alive. Talking to the ghost in your dreams. He said the future's what you make it and the past ain't what it seems. He used to shine his light out into my eyes. He used to make me feel electric, oh we now feel obliged. He tells me stories all about his old friends. He's written in the skies upon his hand in the letters that he sent. He used to come to me on my deepest dreams. He used to save me from myself. I think she's crazy, she's out of her mind. She'll light to the sunset, turn to the sky. I can't be happy when you're by my side. Sometimes I'm lonely and it feels alright. She's crazy, she's out of her mind. She lies in the sunset, she turns to the sky. You've been talking to the ghost in your dreams. He said the future's what you make it and the past ain't what it seems. He used to shine his light out into my eyes. He used to make me feel electric, only now feel alive. He tells me stories all about his old friends. It's written in the skies upon his hand in the letters that he sent. He used to come to me on my deepest dreams. He used to sing it by myself. I think she's crazy, she's out of her mind. She'll light to the sunset, she turns to the sky. I can't be happy when you're by my side. Sometimes I'm lonely and it feels alright.
From Failsworth, that is the brilliant Shade, and we're going to have a chat to a couple of the lads in a minute once they're in our socially distanced interview room. You are watching MMTV, Manchester's premier online rock and roll television channel, live from Marley Mancunia Studios in Manchester. Now, if you have been watching the show for the last couple of years since we started, you'll know normally it's either done in the studio or at an outside venue with 100, 200, 300 people. Tonight, with what's going on in the world, the only people we've got in our studio tonight are the bands, our guests, and of course the crew who are working on the show. So I'm Dave Sweetmore. We've got some more live music a little bit later on from Tony Steele and The Massacre, and of course Stanleys and Scuttlers. We've got Dave Haslam, who we're going to be talking to shortly, and also Paul Husband and Truster Fox, who are without a doubt two of the most renowned photographers here in Manchester. Wherever you're watching this from, get it shared. Hopefully, if I turn to my left in a minute, and you're right, you should see a couple of members of the band. It looks like, how you doing, lads? You all right?
Hello, you all right? right.
So this is Adam and Oliver from Shade, who you've just watched on MMTV. How's it going, man? All right?
All right, I'm a bit sweaty.
Yeah, well, you will be after that performance, won't you? First of all, Adam, tell us a little bit about the band.
Well, they formed, I should say, maybe 3 years ago. I joined as a backing sort of bass player, but ended up never leaving, I suppose. But yeah, we've been together since then, and we've just been going at it.
What about your influences as a band? Do you all have different backgrounds, different music you're into, or is it a case of you're all very into the same stuff, Oliver?
We all sort of like listen to different sort of music. So like, I'm like more Arctic Monkeys, like Bob Dylan and stuff like that. Various, obviously, Oasis is obviously massive in everyone's sort of, every band anyway, so.
Now, if anyone's watching this, as you mentioned Oasis, and thinking, hang on, them two aren't 2 meters apart, you're actually brothers, aren't you? That's right,
yeah,
innit?
yeah.
So how does that work being in a band? Is it a bit like Liam and Noel? You have a bit of a scrap now and again?
Yeah.
Or does it work all right? You get on?
We just wear the right top, but yeah, it can be a pain in the, can we swear?
Yeah, it's rock and roll.
Oh, it's arse. It's not a bad swear word, is it? Yeah, it's a pain in the arse. Obviously living together as well, so being in the same band.
It must be quite good. It must be quite creative, the fact that you can be together, and if you have an idea, you don't think, oh shit, I forgot it. You know, you can just go straight to each other and go, I've had this idea for a song. You know,
it's two sides of the coin. Ain't it? Like we want to kill each other most of the time, but then when we are productive and positive, it's very positive, isn't it?
So you lads are just breaking onto the scene at the moment, and then all of a sudden a pandemic comes along. How has it affected you lads as a band? Have you managed to keep in touch? Have you managed to still rehearse? How has it, affected you?
It's been shit for everyone, hasn't it? But I think it's allowed us to create more music, I suppose. We've got, I'm being told to move this way. We've created a lot more music because we're allowed to, with no pressure on gigs, rehearsing, so we can just concentrate on creating good songs.
Did you lose many gigs when the pandemic kicked in? Did you have much planned over the summer?
We had a few in. It feels like a lifetime ago now, doesn't it? But yeah, we had a few that got cancelled. It was a bit shy, but.
So what's the plans for the future then, Oliver? What's the plans? Obviously, nobody knows how long this pandemic is going to last.
Yeah.
What happens when the pandemic's over? What's the plans for the band?
Just keep writing away, I think, trying to get as many gigs as possible, trying to get out there and stuff, recording, bringing new stuff out, just pretty much keep going, basically, yeah.
If people are watching tonight and enjoyed what you did, can they find you on all the usual social media
Everywhere,
channels?
Yeah.
And
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, shade.mcr is as well, yeah, you probably need to know that.
Your brother's looking like he's going to deck you in a minute because he's got something to say.
It won't. It's... and we're on Spotify and stuff like that as well, so if you want to listen to that.
You've got to type it in capital letters Shade on Spotify.
Right, S-H-A-D-E.
Oh, of course, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Well, listen, lads, it's been an absolute privilege and a pleasure having you tonight at MMTV Unlocked. Thank you for joining us, and keep in touch with what you're doing, and good luck for the future, lads.
Cheers.
Yes, stay
Thanks
safe.
for having us.
Adam and Oliver from the brilliant Shade, and like I said, do follow them on social media and support new music, because it is important that we do that, and that's what we're great at this city as well. Now then, sat next to them somewhere is a real-life Mancunian legend, known as a DJ, known as an author. He's no stranger to MMTV. He's got a new series of books out, and hopefully, if I look round now, the legend, the one and only, Mr. Dave Haslam. How's it going, Dave? I think you might need to switch it on, mate.
Hello.
How's it going, Dave? All right, mate?
Yeah, I've just turned myself on there.
Well, you've got to do these things
Saturday night in lockdown. It's all I can do, mate. All I can do.
First of all, before we talk about your new book and your new series of books, the lockdown, as a fellow DJ and all that kind of stuff, it must have affected Livia massive. How are you coping with it all?
Yeah, it's dead difficult because, I mean, I've been a DJ for, I don't know, however many years, 35 years, forever.
Ever.
And it's kind of part of my biorhythm, you know, a gig every week. And, you know, I'm okay in my own company, but then I like to be out and socialising. And if I haven't got a gig, I haven't got a reason to go out. And also just that interaction, you know, you can call yourself a DJ, but if there's no audience, you're just another person with a whole load of tunes, you know? So that dynamic and that bit of chemistry, I'm missing it a lot, yeah. And I'm resigned myself to not having a gig until maybe February next year, which will be probably 1 year. I'll go a whole year without DJing.
I find that as well. I mean, we're lucky we can still do MMTV, but it's the people you miss. It's not just playing music and enjoying what you're doing. It's the crowds and the people and not seeing people that, to be honest, you take for granted seeing.
Yeah, and also the way my brain works, if I hear a piece of music, I want to share it. I want to share it with people. Okay, you can put it on Facebook, you can put it on Spotify, but for me, being able to play it loud in a club and share it there and then and see the interaction, that's what DJing is all about.
So you're going to have a good full record bag come early next year then?
Yeah, I'm going to be ready.
You've been busy writing, obviously, you know, you're a renowned author now as well. You brought out a series of mini-books. The latest one you've done is Searching for Love, the Courtney Love story. Tell us a little bit about that.
I've actually got one. I'm going to wave it at you.
And that is a mini-book. Let's have a look at it.
If I hold it near the camera, it looks bigger. That's how it works.
The 3 books you brought out are called Art Decades.
Yeah, so the series is called Art Decades. In fact, the first one came out exactly a year ago today, and that was a book about vinyl record collecting, because I sold all my vinyl, and people still find that very hard to get their head round.
Do you regret it?
I don't regret it, and I decided instead of answering any questions about it, I'd write a book about it. And then if anybody really wanted to know, they could go out and buy the book. And then the second book is about Keith Haring, who was a New York artist, and it was all about how music and nightlife in New York influenced his art. And then this one, book 3, is about Courtney Love, who lived in Liverpool in 1982.
So, Courtney Love, are you a big fan of Courtney Love and Hole? What made you decide to write a book about a visit to Liverpool in 1982?
Well, to be honest, I'm a big fan of Liverpool. I'm a big fan of the Liverpool scene in that early 80s. You know, Teardrop Explodes, Echo and the Bunnymen, Wah Heat, all those bands. And it was when I first started going over to Liverpool and hanging out with them and going to, you know, Probe Records. And I loved it all. So I always wanted to write about that scene. I was intrigued about Courtney more than kind of in love with her, you know, but once I'd researched it, I was really kind of inspired by her. She was 17 when she arrived in Liverpool. And she was there with a friend, and she just immersed herself in the music. And I've seen kind of notebooks that she'd written where she'd go into Probe Records and write down all the records that she'd bought there. It was like a music education. And she says now that without being in Liverpool for those 5 or 6 months, she wouldn't now be a rock and roll star. You know, being in it's not just Liverpool, but being in the Northwest. She actually discovered the Fall. And one of the last things that she wrote before she left Liverpool was how she was in love with the lyrics of Mark E. Smith. So, you know, Manchester and Liverpool gave us something really important. And I think what it was a kind of a pathway. So she realized that, you know, she could be in a band, and this was the way to do it, you know?
When she came over to Liverpool, she developed a big friendship with Julian Cope. How much do you think that played a part in her staying over here for as long as she did?
Yeah, well, Julian kind of invited her to go and stay in Liverpool in a house where he'd lived. And he just moved out, but he still had the keys, you know, and so she stayed in that house, and he kind of then avoided her the whole time. They had a very roller coaster relationship. And I mean, she talks of him as a bit of a guru. He's been quite rude about her, but at the same time, you know, I think in about June of '82, Teardrop Explode supported Queen at Elland Road in Leeds, and took Courtney and her friend in the back of the van. And, you know, Courtney remembers seeing Freddie Mercury in the bar and all that. So, you know, I think it was, Julian Cope was an inspiration for her, but also Ian McCulloch. Because both of those guys, you know, I don't know if you've ever kind of met them, but you can tell even by the videos that they had a kind of rock star aura about them. You know, almost
very
like,
much so, even in the way they dressed as well, they stood out.
The way they dressed, the way they walked, the way they dealt with themselves in interviews. And, you know, rock and roll isn't just about the melodies and the lyrics. It's about attitude. And the other thing about the Liverpool scene was, like the Manchester scene in the early 80s, it was very do-it-yourself. Lots of young bands, small labels, And I think that was an important lesson for Courtney Love, because all the bands back in the USA, all the big bands are kind of stadium bands, and it's like something happening over there. Whereas she could see Ian McCulloch on the front of the NME one week and walking down Bold Street in Liverpool the next. And it made it seem achievable for her.
Did you ever come across her in your amazing career? Have you ever actually come across her in person?
No, but she started emailing me.
What, when you were writing the book?
Yeah. So we became kind of email pen pals. And I learned that the emails that she sends me at 3 o'clock in the morning tend to be, you know, a little less grammatically correct than the ones sent at 11 a.m. in the morning.
They all.
And I mean, like I say, by the time I'd written the book, you know, I had a lot of time for her. And I think particularly also because, you know, a female in Liverpool at that time, for example, you know, like in Manchester, it is quite a laddie scene back then. It was a kind of the misogyny that she's had to deal with her whole career. People putting her down, people calling her a groupie. People, you know, even someone said to me, oh, you know that Kurt Cobain wrote the whole of the first Hole album, you know, which she'd written before she'd even met him. Do you know what I mean? But all that time, she's had all those obstacles to deal with, let alone a childhood which was really dysfunctional, which I hadn't realised, again, till I researched the book. So I ended up feeling, yeah, I was fully paid up member of Team Courtney by the time I'd finished.
In more recent times, she's become more known for, you know, her life working in fashion and stuff like that. Do you think that's the future for her? Can you see her doing any more music?
Well, she keeps talking about getting Hole back together. I don't know. I mean, she spends a lot of time in London. You know, she's got herself clean, you know, she's got herself sorted out, and she's also writing her own autobiography. So I think some of the research that I did is going to help her to write the Liverpool chapter of her own book. I was telling her stuff she couldn't remember. And, you know, so in my emails to her, I'm like, do you remember such and such? And I've been sending her photos of places that she used to hang out in Liverpool.
Sounds like a great relationship all along. So the series of books you've got out now, the 3 books, Art Decades, the Courtney Love's obviously the 3rd one. If people want to get their hands on it, are they available from bookstores or do they have to come to you direct? Or?
Yeah, well, you can either, I mean, I bang on about them all the time on social media. So if you can track me down on Twitter or Facebook, you'll get regular updates on the writing. I mean, the aim is to do 2 or 3 every year. And then maybe after about 8 or 9, put them all together in one volume. But they're limited editions. The Courtney one is nearly sold out because it's had a load of publicity. So it's a great project to do because it means I'm doing something new every 3 months, every 4 months, and it kind of keeps me hungry, which is, you know, I think important when you're doing any kind of creative work.
And it's certainly kept you busy during the pandemic. So Dave Aslan, the DJ, obviously we're all on hold at the moment while the pandemic's going on. You've got the Art Decades series of books out at the moment. What about the future for Dave Aslan? What does the future hold?
Well, I'm hoping, if all things being well, the Manchester International Festival will be back next year. So I did some work with them last year, curating, as they say, some bands and events, and I'm going to be doing that. Things come along, do you know what I mean? I think the thing that I've learned is if you're doing stuff that you really love and people can feel the passion and you're doing it well, then, you know, opportunities will arise. So I'll knock on a few doors and who knows what will happen. And
what about a book? Can you tell us about any more books coming in the future? Any more bands you're going to be working on?
I've got a couple more books. I discovered one thing is it's easier to talk about a book than write it, so I'm kind of trying not to talk about them, but there's an episode that happened in Manchester in the early 1970s when there was a small revolutionary group that lived in Moss Side, and they set off a few bombs, including one outside the Italian consulate in Piccadilly, and they all lived in squats, and they were all into kind of alternative anarchist politics, and they did underground magazines and put on gigs, and so I've kind of got fascinated by this little group. They were part of the Angry Brigade.
That sounds like a story that's not told very much as well.
It's not told, so for me it's an ideal subject for a book. So one of the future books in the series is going to be about what they did. One of their bombs was wrapped in a copy of Rolling Stone magazine. So the book's going to be called Wrapped in a Copy of Rolling Stone.
Why not? Well, listen, Dave, good luck for the future. As always, it is a pleasure to see you, mate. And stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you soon. And good luck with everything, man, yeah?
Right, thank you, Dave.
MMTV, the brilliant and legendary Dave Haslam. Such a pleasure to have him on the show, as always. So this is MMTV. We're live, socially distanced, from Marley Mancunia studio in Manchester. Make sure you tell everyone about it. Manchester's online premier rock and roll television channel. We've got music coming up later on from one of the most talked about bands in Manchester, Scuttlers. We've got Tony Steele and The Massacre here. Next up, though, we talk a lot on this show about the music scene in general and the fact that the new music scene at the moment is the best it's been for years and years. One town at the forefront of that is without a doubt Wigan, and the band leading the way are a band who have without a doubt already brought out one of the singles of the year. You better be playing it, boys. You know what I mean? Good tune, that. This is an absolute pleasure. It's the first time ever on MMTV. This is the brilliant Stanleys.
We'll do it first for you, Dave. Just for you. This is A Better Life. There is a man I know lives on Stanley Road. He does not like it there, caged in an old armchair. Where did the old dreams die? This became the forefront of his life. In a life, it touched the stars of drank a glass of wine. He walked with heroes, they're so crazy road lives. And I could never leave you in this road life. There is a man I know who lives on Stanley Road. He's daydreaming all day, thoughts of his escape. Where did the old dreams die? He just became the forefront of his life. In a better life, he touched the stars and drank the glass of twice. He walked with heroes, that's a crazy road lines. But I could never leave you in this road life. So won't you break away with me? And I will set you free. Break away with me. Where did the old dreams die? And dust became the forefront of his life. In a better life. In a better life. In a better life. In a better life. Thank you. This next one's our second single. It's called Measured in Gold.
Are you doing? You okay? Great interview as always.
Looking out, it yields at home to me. You won't get to me. The listeners won't help them as the woman calls him in this time. road without a turn, won't smile because you'll go. He waits in line, oh, he waits in line, whoa.
Thank you.
So you are watching MMTV live from Marley Mancunier Studios in Manchester. The brilliant Stanleys. More live music coming up in a bit, but we're going to have a word with Tom, the lead singer, in a minute about what's going on in Wigan, why so many great bands are coming from there at the moment, and of course what they've been up to during lockdown. Just to remind you though, normally MMTV would have a studio or a venue in town full of people watching. Tonight though, with what's going on in the world, we are socially distanced. The only people in the venue at the moment are of course the bands, our artists and guests, and of course the crew behind the team. Okay, now hopefully somewhere to my left is my old mate from Wigan. Tom, how you doing, man?
Hello, Dave. How are we doing?
Good, good. How's life? All right?
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Right.
Good to see the team.
Great to see you as always. I normally see you most weeks, don't I? But you know
Yeah,
what's
an
going on and stuff at
Independence
the moment.
nightclub.
That's it. Listen, before we start talking about the band and your new singles and stuff like that, the music scene at the moment, as I just said, introduced you, is brilliant. But Wigan at the moment, what's going on? I mean, we had the Flashettes here last week, amazing. The Lathams just been signed to Island Records. But you lads have sort of, for the last couple of years, been at the forefront of it. What's going on?
I mean, there's something in the water, I think. Like, yeah, there's just loads of music going about. I think it's to do with the music that all people in Wigan really listen to. Loads of people are growing up on indie music, and so it's just loads of people inspiring each other. So like our mates, the Lathams, they're doing really well. So everyone's pushing each other to get there. So.
Like the Lathams and the Flashettes and bands like that from Wigan at the moment, they've burst onto the scene in the last year or so.
Yeah,
you lads have sort of been on the scene for a couple of years, and sort of they're almost saying, Stanley's doing well, let's recreate what they're doing. How does it feel to be a band at the moment that almost lads a couple of years younger than you are now looking up to?
It's good, yeah. I mean, I don't know why they're looking up to us, a bunch of numpties, but yeah, no, it's a good feeling though. I hope that like if the music that we do inspires other people to do music, so because that's where we got it from. That's why we started. I mean, Jake, if you've seen him tonight, he's literally got the trim of John Squire. So
he's like a young John Squire, isn't he? Look at him over there. Yeah.
He's been inspired by him, maybe.
Obviously, you know, over the last couple of years, you brought some great singles out and stuff like that as well. And as well as being the front man, you're the roadie for the band. And and as well as that, obviously, early this year, you brought out A Better Life, which obviously I believe is one of the singles of the year. Do you find you got a lot of new fans once you released that single? Yeah,
definitely. Like you say, we've been ticking around for ages, and it was the first kind of single that did well for us. So it was really good to see the response, but yeah, we've got a lot more singles to come, so hopefully we can just keep on growing with that.
So we've got a thriving music scene at the moment. You lads are playing a massive part of it in the Northwest, and all of a sudden a pandemic comes along, and I do feel like I'm asking all the bands this, but how's it affected you as the Stanleys?
I mean, to be honest, we were at a stage where we were just lining up for a festival season, so we've been practicing loads before it, and it was actually quite good to not see him for a couple of weeks. But then, obviously, it kicked in, and we're now itching to get back at it. So.
Yeah, because didn't you have Kendall Calling and quite a few this year, didn't you?
Yeah, Kendall Calling, Isle of Wight, a couple of festivals like that, so some big day festivals as well.
And obviously, I've known you lads for quite a while now, and when you're not out playing with the band and gigging with the band and rehearsing with the band, you're socialising with the band. Have you managed to keep in touch and do anything? Or?
We have, yeah. So me and Jake both live in Liverpool as uni students, so we stayed there through lockdown, so I couldn't even get rid of him during a pandemic. But it's been good, though. The other two lads, this is the first time we've really seen each other. So, well, we rehearsed yesterday, and then
So that was the first time for 2 months, which was weird. It's not happened in 3 years, that, so.
Now, I was going to ask, like I've been asking a lot of bands, if you've been doing anything online, but then all of a sudden this week on your social media appeared what is without a doubt one of the best lockdown cover versions I've not just seen in the pandemic, I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Tell us about that. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was good fun doing it. We've been wanting to do it, and just to put it out there.
The Coral Dreaming of You.
Yeah, we started before Blossoms did theirs, and then they got there first and got it in, but we'd already started it then, so we had good fun doing it. Got a good team around us as well, who were, so like Gareth, the lounge in Wigan, he's done all the mixing for us, and Liam, our mate who's doing our media, he's sorted out putting all the video together, so it's good.
It's gone down really, really well, and we were talking before, even though it's probably quite a simple song, it's not one that I'd imagine a lot of bands could make sound as good as you lads have. Have you any plans of doing any more like that, or is it a one-off? Have that?
I mean, yeah, we're definitely doing a couple more lockdowns. I think up there in the mix, we've got The Importance of Being Idle, really want to do that. We want to do Starman by Bowie as well.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so...
Can I just say, if you are watching this, right, and if you don't already follow Stanleys on social media, do it, because not only are they a top band with great music, that what they've just done of the Coral is unbelievable.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome, my mate. So anyway, pandemic, hopefully, we don't know how long it's going to be around for. What are the plans for the future once it's out of the way and we're back to whatever normal is?
I mean, first things first is we've got to go on a night out in Indy. That's got to happen first, I think.
If you're wondering what he's on about, Independence Nightclub in Wigan is a club I play at quite a lot, and that's where I know these lads from.
Best
so,
DJ
lads.
in Wigan.
Thank you. You got to say that now, haven't you? You know what I mean?
He's paying me for that.
So have you got, are you going to like plan a big gig once things are back to normal, or?
We've got loads in the line, so we're still doing a couple of other festivals that are on this year, so like Sound City and Bingley. Oh, is Bingley next year? Yeah, Bingley's next year. There's a couple still going on. And we're doing, I don't know whether we've announced this, but we're doing Jamie Webster's tour as well this year, so I think that's September-ish, so that'll be fun.
That's amazing. Let's hope it all goes ahead.
Yeah.
I've been mentioning to the production team at MMTV about getting you lads on for a while, so it's been an absolute pleasure having you
thank
here
you for
tonight.
having us.
And keep in touch, and hopefully it won't be too long before I see you lads again, yeah?
Definitely, Dave. Cheers for having us.
Tom from the Stanleys, and like we say with all the bands that we have on, it is important that you support new music, especially when it is as good as them lads. Coming up still, we've got music from one of the most talked about bands in Manchester. The legendary Scuttlers are going to be on in a bit. We've got Tony Steele and The Massacre, who are going to be playing us in about 5 minutes' time. But while I was talking to Tom from Stanleys, all I could see in the corner of the room was two people who were not only legendary photographers, but were also being absolute nuisances as well. So I know that they stood there. Paul Husband and Truster Fox, a.k.a. Nidge Sanders. How are you, boys?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Look at that.
Right.
You're normally well behaved, aren't you? Here we go. Do you know what? They're normally well behaved. You see them at gigs and they're normally pretty well behaved. Put them together and look at it. It's an absolute riot. And can I also say as well, Georgina, who's our artist liaison, takes the pictures for the social media, and she's on edge tonight because we've got two professionals here.
Georgina is a better photographer than us, to be fair.
First of all, Paul Husband, Nidge Sanders, a.k.a. Truster Fox. We're going to talk about all sorts, really, in a short space of time. Paul, first of all, tell us, what got you into photography? Out of all the creative things you can do in Manchester, what got you into the photography scene?
Okay, this is a long and dark tale, but basically I came out of drug addiction, and I had nothing, I had no hobbies, and I desperately needed a hobby. And I had a friend called Paul Wolfgang Webster, and you can see his pictures all over the place. The Tony Wilson picture that you're seeing all over the place at the moment, that was his. And he introduced me to photography, and it's something that I latched onto, and it's something that I became really, really fond of.
Is music a massive part of your life? Why did you, obviously you do photography for everything, so I've got to point that out, but music's a big part of what you do.
Yeah, it was everything. Since I was a kid, I remember standing in front of my dad's vinyls and pulling out Sgt. Pepper's and looking at that cover. And I remember lying on my bed and looking at pictures of Sid Vicious and Kurt Cobain and so on, and I was thinking, that he was a photograph didn't really appeal to me. I wanted to be that person on the stage. Yeah. But, I couldn't be because I'm shit. So I took it away, and the best thing I can do, apart from that, is just to take the pictures of those great people.
And the fact that you brought up Sergeant Pepper, it wasn't just a photograph, it was the creative art that went into it.
It's beautiful, wasn't it? Yeah, and it was so interesting to look at something and, you know, to be able to go through it, and especially when your dad's involved, to have that explained to you who this people is and who that is, you know. Wonderful.
And it's still as iconic now as it was then, which speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, right, Nidge Sanders, Trust a
Dave,
Fox.
right.
Now,
Thank you.
anyone who goes to any gigs in Manchester will know this man. I've known him for a long, long time. And do you know what? Whenever I turn up at a gig, whether it be to host it, DJ at it, or, you know, just go as a fan and watch the bands, this man's normally there. And if he's there, you know it's going to be a pretty good gig.
Oh, thanks, Dave.
So you've been like doing pictures of bands for years and years now.
Donkey's years. Probably too long, really. I might be time to retire now.
No, it's not, mate. You carry on. You've done a lot of legendary acts and bands and stuff over the years as well, but you're also a big supporter of the new music scene, massive supporter of the new music scene. How do you find out personally about the bands that are breaking through? And I was thinking about it earlier on today, actually. How do you decide which gigs to go to and photograph?
It's more a case of the people that tell me that's the sort of like the bands you need to get into, really. And you can see it on social media, can't you? And that's what I do. And just word of mouth more than anything. And people contacting us as well and saying, come down and take some photos of us. Yeah.
It's almost staple now. If you go to a good gig in Manchester, one of you lads are there, but, you know, you it is.
He's always there.
I just get out of the house.
The amount of photographs I've got with him in it, that's why I don't do live gigs anymore, because he's always there.
It's my fault, sorry.
Is there a bit of a war going on with photographers here, or do you like love each other really, a bit of bromance and that?
Well, I hate him. No, we love each other. I think we've got quite a good community, haven't we? Everyone sort of like gets on pretty well.
With music photography, it's like people generally want to, you know, share things with each other. Other areas of photography, they quite, you know, they want to take it all for themselves. But I think because there's no money in music photography, isn't there?
No.
It does lead me to a great question, that, because like I say, you know, I come across you lads all the time, Nidge especially at the gigs and stuff like that. How have you found this lockdown? What are you doing there? You might be keeping 2 meters apart here, you, but they live together. If anyone has to live together. How are you going on without these gigs? Because you're always at them.
It's a complete nightmare. Because, I mean, there's nothing I can do apart from take gigs. So, it's hard work.
Have you gone taking pictures of anything else that you may not have done before, or?
I've done quite a lot of sort of product shots around music, so T-shirts and albums and stuff like that.
You've got a duck calendar.
I've got a duck calendar on the. It's on eBay, isn't it?
A what?
Various versions
A
of
duck calendar?
Yeah. That's coming out soon. But no.
And what's that of? Pictures of ducks?
Yeah, ducks. Yeah, we love a duck, don't we?
You love a good
Well,
duck?
I do, yeah, I love a duck. A mallard, mainly, isn't it? But,
I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah,
So we
cheers.
might be seeing less of you at gigs if you're out in parks.
exactly.
You want to be careful there, you know what I mean? Paul, what about you? Have you been, you know, during the lockdown, have you found yourself taking pictures of like, anything that you might not normally do?
I'm happy just to do nothing for a bit. And Nidge is the man who does the live gigs, really. I pulled out of that. It was too frustrating, especially with the contracts and everything. But I'm just happy just to do nothing and just think for a bit. And I'm not thinking very well, to be fair. I've got no ideas or anything, but I'm happy just to, you know,
Living the dream.
think of when I need the toilet or something like that.
Can we not have these two together again? Do you know what, Paul? Can I just ask you, sorry, Paul, obviously...
Paul Love.
Paul, yeah, I'll call you that if you want. You such a talking about ducks and things. What's been your favourite? We've talked tonight in a short space of time as far back as Sergeant Pepper. What's been your favourite highlight of, you know, where I know that Trust a Fox here, is going to come out with something music related. What's been your favourite, you know, memory of photography? What's the favourite thing you've done?
Right, it was very early on, and it's Peter Perry from The Only Ones. I'm a massive fan, because I mentioned before, coming out of addiction and everything, his soundtrack was, you know, it was my life. And he invited me down to his house, this little fucking house in Islington or somewhere, to do a picture for his album cover. Didn't use it, must have been shit. But just to sit there in front of him and listen
Have
to
you still got it? Is it for anywhere like people could see?
Yeah, sure, I'll put it up tomorrow.
Yeah, do it.
It's not very good.
Well, it'll be good to see, won't we? We're talking
The
about
experience was good.
And what about you, Nidge, Foxy, Trust a Fox? You took pictures of so many bands over the years. Do you have a favourite?
I can't answer that, can I really? They're all favourites. And I think I like sort of seeing bands from the beginning all the way through.
You've done that a lot, haven't you?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, I try to. I mean, that's the name of the game, isn't it?
Is there any bands that you took photos of that have been a nightmare and you've thought, I'm not doing that again? You don't have to say them.
There's been one or two, yeah. Well, about 12, 13, 14, 100. Yeah, there's been a few, but I mean, to be honest, normally it's all right. It's pretty cool.
I genuinely...
The thing with bands, generally, when they're starting up, they're brilliant. They're absolutely fantastic. And then when they get a bit of interest, then it goes to their head a bit. And then when they get past that interest and they start actually making money and realising they're really good bands, then they become really down to earth. The most down to earth bands I photographed are like the
established bands, yeah.
Yeah. You hate a lot of people, though, right?
I do, yeah.
I genuinely meant that before when I said over the last few years, whenever I've turned up at a gig, whether it be to work or to go to, if you're there, you think it's going to be a good night, this. If Fox is here, just a Fox is here, you know it's going to be all right, you know what I mean? I genuinely mean that. I know you're pissing about now, but I do mean it.
Oh, cheers, mate.
Thank you, thank you. What do you think about the music scene? This coronavirus, the pandemic, you know, how do you think it's going to affect it when things go back to whatever normal is?
I'm not sure anybody knows what's going to happen. Get off me. I don't know. I think there's been a lot of stuff going on, sort of streaming and stuff like that, which is great. I'm more worried about the venues out there and how they're going to survive. It's sort of the next sort of 6 to 8 months. Because that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be next year, really, before gigs kick in again.
A lot of my work, working on gigs and festivals that I had in November and December, even that's been, you know, moved to next year. So let's just hope so.
Can I say a little bit on that?
Of course you can.
There are people behind the scenes that are doing amazing work for the venues and the freelances and the bands like United We Stream. They've raised a fortune, and that's all. What's that? Anton's doing the wanker sign to me. What am I going to do about that? But United We Stream, absolutely amazing. Check in, if you're a freelancer, if you're a band, or if you're a venue, just check them out because there's grants going there.
Do you know what? Both of you there are giving a lot of credit to the venues and the bands and, you know, people behind the scenes. Well, it is, but without people like yourselves, the bands wouldn't have all the brilliant pictures and artwork, you know, to promote themselves. So thank you. We're going down another route here, but no, seriously, thank you for all the work you two lads do as well. So what are the plans for the future of you two? Just keep on keeping on, or, you know, what are the plans?
Just keep plodding on, really, isn't it?
We've got a BBC thing, haven't we?
Yeah, we're looking at doing lots of videos.
Sorry, can you just talk into the mics?
We've been doing a bit of video, haven't we? And we're talking to the BBC at the moment, so...
Yeah, we've got an idea for the BBC that they're interested in.
Is this working together?
Yeah, well, I prefer not to. But
well, I'll be in the background somewhere, probably, but it's not a comedy act, honest.
Well, listen, lads, it's been an absolute pleasure and a challenge having you here tonight, but it's great to see you both, as always. Paul Husband and Truster Fox, a.k.a. Nidge Sanders, thank you so much for joining us. And seriously, I'm talking on behalf of all the bands and that. Keep doing what you're doing, yeah?
Cheers,
mate.
Cheers. Paul Husband and, of course, Truster Fox. And make sure you do check all of their work. You're very welcome. All of their work on all the usual social media channels, because I know I've just repeated myself a lot. You do see them lads at gigs all the time, and they are top photographers who have become pretty iconic on the music scene in their own right. And, of course, like they just mentioned as well, it is important that when things do go back to normal, we continue to support local music scenes. Speaking of music, it is time for some more live music. We've got the legendary Scuttlers playing a little bit later on, though. First of all, another band making their MMTV debut. This is Tony Steele and The Massacre.
To the end I will feel all my life.
Thank you with Tony Steele and The Massacre. Next one, it's an MTV. Through my scars, I see my life. Through my eyes, I see pain. And through the skies, I see the sun. But I only feel the rain. Whoa, I take it back now. All the things that I had to say. Whoa, I take it back now. Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another day. Through my skies, I see my life. Through my eyes, I see pain. Through the skies, I see the sun. But I only feel the rain. This next one's on Spotify, and that was a single last year. It's called Cold Shoulder. In a hot room, sight, out of my mind. Oh, I miss you, even though you're next to me. Just say the words and I'll come right back to your heart. And this is not what I wanted to be. Oh, I'm banging down on your door, and I'm down right on my knees. You give me a shoulder now and it's cold, and I'm down, I'm begging you. I can't put the changes in my life without you sitting there right by my side. All these years of lessons in my life have came from mistakes I made, the cost you paid. Oh, I'm banging down on your door, and I'm down right on my knees. You give me a shoulder now and it's cold, and I'm down and I'm begging you. Oh, I'm banging down on your door, and I'm down right on my knees. You give me a shoulder now and it's cold, and I'm down, I'm begging you, and I'm down right on my knees. You give me a shoulder now and it's cold, and I'm down, I'm begging you. Out of sight, out of my mind. Oh, I miss you, even though you're next to me. Just say the words and I'll come right back to your heart. And this is not how I want it to be. This next one's called Bound to Collide. When you know what you know, then I will show it. When you show what you know, then I will know it. When you see what I see, then I will hear you. Now you hear what I say. I will choose you. Now I can't be me while you're by my side. My personality is bound to collide. Now I can't be me while you're by my side. My personality is bound to collide. When you find what you found, then you will lose it. When you lose what I've lost, then you will choose it. Now you see what I see, then you will hear me. Now I hear what I say, then you will choose me. Now I can't be me while you're by my side. My personality is bound to collide. Now I can't be me while you're by my side. My personality is bound to collide. Thank you very much to everyone. Nice one. With Tony Steele The Massacre.
MMTV, the brilliant Tony Steele and The Massacre. You are watching MMTV live from Marley Mancuni's studios in Manchester. We're going to have a little chat with Tony in a minute if we can ask him to come into the interview room. So I'm Dave Sweetmore. We are broadcasting live from Manchester. Obviously, things totally different to normal at the moment. Normally, when we do the show, we have a studio packed out with people. There's hardly anyone in here tonight, just the bands and the crew and the people working on the team. And obviously, you lot watching at home. One thing to tell you about while we're waiting for Tony to come in the room is we weren't going to do any of these shows during the pandemic, but we did one a few weeks ago, and that many people got involved and watched them. We've done quite a few. We are going to be doing one more next week, where our special guests are going to be the Pagans and Hoods, and then we're going to be having a few weeks off till July, so make sure you let everyone know and make sure everyone's tuned in next week. Yeah, but I'm hoping if I look behind me, I should see the one and only Tony Steele. How you doing, man? Switch yourself on.
Hello.
How are you doing? You all right?
I'm all good, mate. You?
Sounding absolutely amazing as
Nice
ever.
one.
How's things? How's like Liverpool during the lockdown? What's going on and stuff?
We have to ask them 3 days from Liverpool. I'm from Birkenhead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to mention that. No, how's it going? I bet it was good to be playing again, though, wasn't it?
Boss, you know, boss with a full band. Been in the house doing it all week. Socially distancing, of course, you know, but...
You've been on the scene in and around the Northwest for ages now, haven't you? How did it all start?
I was in a band I was in a band in 2008 to 2010 called the Monkey Steps. And I left that, stopped that, and then started another one called Mojo Revival. And after about 2 years, left that and walked away from music for about 4 years.
When you were doing the Mojo Revival, that was quite a popular band around the scene, wasn't it? I remember them myself, yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of interest in that, but I just wasn't the right time for me.
So what about this band then? How did this band, Steele The Massacre, how did that come about?
I wasn't in a band or anything at the time. I'd done a song at home, a new song I'd written. I hadn't wrote a song in about 4 years. I've done a song, put it on YouTube. And it went viral, I had about 250,000 hits, so I thought, well, I didn't have a band, but my bass player, who was my best mate at the time, so I got in touch with him and said, should we record it?
Are you still writing all the songs yourself, or do you do it as a collective?
No, I do it myself, yeah.
Do it yourself. And have you found that over the years, since your original bands, your influences have changed with what you're doing now, or is it still the same stuff?
Still, there's nothing new come out to make me, giving me a new influence, you know. If something new comes out, then that'll be a new influence, but now it's all...
I think it's a fair comment that there's a lot of great new bands on the scene, both in Manchester and Liverpool and Wigan and the Northwest in general, but they're not making it through to the mainstream like perhaps they used to. Is that a fair comment?
The bands are there, they're still there, but Ed Sheeran's ruining it, isn't he? You know? Yeah. The people behind that, that's the industry.
So during the pandemic and when the lockdown has been going on, did you lose a lot of work and a lot of festivals and stuff?
Well, yeah, we lost festivals. We were meant to be doing a tour, so the tour went out the window, the festivals went out the window, but you've got to take the bad with the good, you know.
So the tour, have you rescheduled it yet?
No, we're getting told we can't gig again now till February next year, so it's going to be things like this and MC Rooms playing streaming, I think. I don't know.
I think the thing is at the moment is the fact that there's so many rumours going round about when gigs are going to start again. And in fairness, nobody's got a clue.
No one's got an igloo, no.
Nobody knows. Have you managed to keep, yourself active with the music and keep creative, or have you found yourself having a lot of time off?
Well, yeah. After that set of new songs that I've wrote on the pandemic, and 2 of them are bloody stonkers, man, so I made up with them, you know what I mean?
So it's positive then, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's positive.
I've had more time with my kids and more time to write music. I've done a couple of them acoustic. I jumped on the acoustic live things, and that was really positive. I didn't expect that. 11,000 people to be watching me. They need to start coming to me gigs and make some money then, you know what I mean?
Well, that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people, like we were talking to the lads before, there's a lot of people worried about the music venues and stuff like that. But I just hope and pray that a lot of people are watching these live streams from bands and yourself on, on social media, and they think, right, that's it now, I'm going to get out to the gigs and support them again, because it is important, isn't it?
Well, it was a bit annoying. It was a weird feeling. I was halfway through this acoustic thing in my living room in my house, and I looked down on the screen on the iPad. It said something like 11,000 people watching. There was a bit. Half of me was like, "Wow, that's boss," and then the other half was thinking, "Well, where do you use when we're playing?" You ring around trying to sell tickets every time we do a hometown gig.
So obviously, once this pandemic, we've just said we've no idea when it's going to end. When things do go back to some sort of normality, you've got the tour you need to reschedule, this great music you're producing during the lockdown you need to put down and stuff. Have you got plans for the future, or are you just going to wait and see what happens?
No, an album was due out this year. I'm still going to release the next couple of singles as usual, but the way I've been writing at the moment, the pandemic has been... It's been good to me, you know what I mean, musically wise. I've been writing a lot of good songs, so I think the album's going to shape a little bit of a different shape now.
Have you got any gigs coming up in the forthcoming future that, as yet, haven't been pulled, that might still happen?
Everything's been pulled, so got nothing. Absolutely nothing. I was hoping to announce something for December, but I'm getting told that it's February that I'm looking at, you know what I mean? So it's like, at the moment, I'm just taking it day by day.
I was mentioning to the lads before, I had a festival booked in November, and that's been pulled now, and it's like, it's just one thing after another, innit? Well, listen...
Things like this are good, though. It's positive, so there's people watching, and thank you for inviting me on.
Hey, no, listen, the team behind got you on and stuff like that, and like you say, it is good. We did it. We weren't going to do it. We did it as a one-off. We're getting thousands of people watching, so it was well worth doing. But the songs you're doing, like you say, I didn't realise you wrote them during the pandemic and stuff. Get them put down, man, and you know what I mean? It's all good, innit?
Nice one, Dave.
Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on tonight, and hopefully, we'll see you soon in the future.
Next time you see me, Liverpool will be champions. See you later.
Oh, he's going to talk about football. Listen, son.
See you later.
Listen, Steele. Cheers, Sony.
Thank you very much.
All the best,
one.
man.
Ta.
Tony Steele and The Massacre, we say it all the time, but it is important you do it. You do continue and support the new bands. Okay, coming up, our final band is, of course, going to be the brilliant, legendary Scuttlers. Before we introduce the band, though, an old mate of mine should be here now in replace of Tony. I'm hoping he's going to be here, the one and only Caden Nolan. Fashionable late as ever, here he is. True Mancunian legend in style. Grab the mic, man.
Yo.
So this is Caden Nolan. He started off as a solo artist. He got a very, very good reputation. And then he formed a band called Scuttlers, who are now one of the most talked about bands in Manchester. And they've brought a song out that, in my opinion, is not just one of the records of the year, it is a record of the generation.
Boom.
Thank you. He likes that. How you doing, man?
I'm all right, Dave. How's yourself?
I'm better for seeing you. It's
Thank you very
always a
much.
pleasure to see you.
Likewise, mate. Likewise. It's a shame we've got this screen here, but I suppose social distancing
do
and all
that
that.
kind of like that. Do you know what I mean?
Like
One
some
day,
lovers
man.
entwined.
One day. And when we can, we'll have a cuddle. You know what I mean? We'll get
Yeah.
it sorted. So, listen, the pandemic's been going on. I know we bump into you quite a lot. We're going to talk about what's been going on with Scuttlers and stuff like that. How have you been coping? Are you all right? You know, you're busy?
I was at university. That's been cancelled. Luckily, got on me working and stuff. Obviously, meeting the lads, I've been able to practice, which has been a bit naff. Just been writing, bought some recording stuff before the pandemic ensued, and yeah, just been keeping busy like that, Dave. Just carry on writing music, mate.
The music scene at the moment is amazing. You lads are massively, massively at the forefront of that in Manchester. And you're not just a band that, you know, you're your own unique band as well. When people have seen Scuttlers, they know they've seen you.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, everyone gives us comments and compliments and stuff on the live scene. As I say, just can't wait to get practicing again, get gigging again, and let's blow the world up, mate.
Since getting Scuttlers together, some of the songs you've come out have become Manchester anthems, like There's Nothing New, No One Knows the Way, Lies in the Sky, and all that. The song you've just recently brought out, I know it's an old song of yours, but you brought it out as a Scut Leaders. What a tune, man.
I know, it's stupid. We went down, we didn't really know what to expect, so we went down to Magic Garden Studios in Wolverhampton. Got it recorded, got some trumpets on it and that, and it was just come out stupid, mate. Just
Are you going to be doing a version of that tonight?
Well, hopefully, we'll see, won't we?
Do you know what? The one thing I'll say, and I'd mean this in the nicest way possible as I can, if it was one of the biggest bands in the world that had brought out your new single, it'd be another Don't Look Back in Anger or Bittersweet Symphony.
Yeah, well, as I say, I can't remember when we released it. It was a good couple of months ago. It's doing really well on Spotify and stuff, and I know for a fact it's just going to carry on getting bigger and bigger the more music we release.
I genuinely, at the moment, the way the music scene's going, I seem to find myself saying one of the best records of the year a lot. This record you brought out is a record of a generation.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, the words now, obviously it was written about 3-4 years ago. The words now mean more than ever. So if anyone who hasn't heard it, go and listen to it. It means a lot. I'm
going to talk about it a lot because it's an absolute banger, but one of the things I want to talk about is the fact that you've recently done a video that turned out a lot differently to how you planned on doing it. What was the original plan for the video for this single?
We were planning a sort of Stellify, Ian Brown Stellify, he's walking through town and trumpets following him and that. We wanted like goths, chavs, to use the term loosely, following us, just everyone that are part of our generation, to follow us like one by one. By the end of the song, everyone's like, la, 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 la. Obviously, we couldn't do that, so we just asked the fans to join in on the video, and yeah, it worked a treat. Look, people, like most people who didn't even know, joined in. Yeah, it was a struggle to get them all in there, to be honest. But yeah.
So the video for Leaders is a great video, and honestly, obviously, when MMTV's finished a little bit later on, check it out because it is a brilliant, brilliant video that's going to be around for a long, long time. So obviously, you've got that out. You've just brought it out on vinyl as well. What was the decision to do that?
Well, we had the means to do it. We've had some sort of record company interest and stuff, some investors, and they went, right, this is great. Let's get it on vinyl. I've got one for you there, actually. I ain't got it on me, but I've got a nice signed one. I'm going to have to antibacterial wipe it before I give it you, but
absolutely, yeah, make sure you do as well. Do you know what? I love it. I can't wait to get it home, so thank you. And is there any copies of it left on vinyl if people
yeah, there's loads. We've got some here, but obviously we're going to have to wipe them down before anyone would like to purchase them. I think they're about £12 on Scuttlers' website. Get them sold. We had a massive, loads of people bought them. We only brought them out a couple of days ago. Yeah, it's been massive. It's been absolutely massive.
It was looking like a mega year for you this year. You had your own headline gig at Night and Day planned. Yeah. What's happened with that?
See, we've put it back now until the 4th of September, but it's just whether it's probably not going to be until next year now. But just make sure everyone keeps an eye out for it.
What are the plans for once the lockdown's over? Is it just to get more records?
Well, luckily, before this lockdown ensued, we got 2 singles recorded. Hopefully get them out over the next couple of months. So we've got some back catalogue, we've got some good things on the way, and people need to make sure they keep in tune.
You know that as well as being friends with you lot, I've known you for a long time, I'm a fan of the band as well. And when I say it, I genuinely mean that you're one of the most talked about bands in Manchester at the moment. And the future, it's going to be massive for you, innit?
I hope so, mate. Yeah, I've got a lot of confidence in what I do and what me and the lads do. It's a beautiful thing, music, and yeah, we're just going to carry on charging on.
You are going to close MMTV for us tonight, so I'm hoping that the lads are ready over there if you want to make your way over to the main stage. And,
yeah, man. See you later,
great
Dave.
to talk to you as always. You are watching MMTV. We've got the brilliant Scuttlers coming up in a minute. We're live from Marley Mancuni's studios. Once again, spread the word. Manchester's premier rock and roll television channel. And like I mentioned earlier on, we weren't going to do any during the lockdown, but it's been amazing. We've carried on. We've got one more next week where our guests are going to be the Pagans and Hoods, and then we're going to be having a little bit of break for a few weeks till July. So make sure, 8 o'clock, ignore everything else, you're watching MMTV next Saturday night. We're going to talk to you again soon before the end of the show and remind you about that. But it is time now for, I know I've repeated myself a lot saying this, but I mean it, one of the most talked about bands in Manchester at the moment and one of my favourite bands. MMTV, this is Scuttlers.
I thought that it was warm outside, but I'll put on my shoes and in the morning I'll fly, sailing through the bright blue sky. No need to wonder where, no reason to ask why. Is it so plain to see? I ain't got anyone here that's looking out for me. So if you get there, please let me know, darling. Have you stopped smiling? Because it's looking like the sun's got it on me. Do you know the way there? Do you even care? Because it's looking like the sun's got it on me. I'm falling through the earth's sweet breeze without a soul inside to bring me to my knees. It looks like it's my lucky day, for when the sun's here wouldn't have it any other way now. As I begin to wake up in the clouds that block the mind, hey! I think of excuses to make up for why that sunshine just gone blind. And I'm trying to think of something to say in this situation, darling. Have you stopped smiling? Because it's looking like the sun's got it on me. Hey! Do you know the way there? Do you even care? Because it's looking like the sun's got it on me. Yeah. Stop smiling, stop smiling. Because it's looking like the sun's got it on me. Do you know the way there? Yes, I know the way. Do you even care? Yes, I do care. Because it's looking
gonna pass on the lead vocals to my soul brother, Mr. Liam, for this one.
Sometimes it's hard when you're not around. Or maybe you're up there watching from the clouds. 6 of us hidden above, maybe I'll shout you right back down. Wow, Lucy, won't you come and see me? Wow, Lucy, I've been waiting forever. And I'm out of my mind, I think of you all the time. As the days go by, I find myself growing older. I see images of you as I look across my shoulder. Can't you see it's killing me not having you stood here with me? If you finally found the time, I want you here. Ah, Lucy, won't you come and see me? Oh, Lucy, I've been waiting forever. When I'm out of my mind, I think of you all the time. Yeah, I'm out of my mind, I'm out of my mind, I'm out of it all the time. And I guess that I'm too shy to see you draw the line. Lucy, 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 I've been waiting forever.
This one's called My God Is Overrated.
My soul is shining dark tonight. Satan sure knows as he ever fried. Good gosh, my Lord, my God is overrated. I close my eyes and I see the sign. My flesh and bones thrown to the fire. I hope, I pray, there's nothing left worth saving. But don't be scared. Don't be scared. The light shines on without you in the flames. Please be aware. It's the violet in the sky that keeps the twinkle in my eye. The kind of chance that'll pass you by. A vessel lost in the ocean night. You watch, I sigh. You go home empty-handed. You clench your fist and you stare at life. The mortal tale of sacrifice. You turn God's eyes way out sinking his daydream. I'm always here. I'm always here to listen to the thunder through the storm. Time equals fear. But it's the violet in the sky that keeps the twinkle in my eye. Go tell the Lord our Savior that we don't care because we were tonight. The devil came and stole the light with war. 10 days, it can't be overstated that as the human flower grew, his pollen caused the awful flu. It's sore, it's far, there's nothing left worth saving. But don't be scared, don't be scared. The light shines on without you in the flames. Please be aware, there's a twinkle in my eye that keeps the violet in the sky. Go tell the Lord our Savior that we don't care because we won't always be here. Get a kick from bad behavior, wipe the tear because we won't always be here. Wipe the tear because we won't always be here. No, 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 no. Yeah, fuck the fear because we won't always be here. Sitting in 1,000 shades, waiting for my weekend to be forgot. I woke up feeling wheezy as my mind called up to tell me that I lost. And I don't know when I'll be back. Might take some time to realize. 'Cause when you get found alone, my friend, and Jesus cannot pay your rent, you know it's hard. I try so hard to toe the line, but I just can't get it out of my mind. It's so hard to see. Run back home tomorrow. I'll call your mother, she wants you home. I'm walking over fire. I'm trying to find a light when you're alone. I just can't get it off my back. I live my life on a beaten track. 'Cause when you get found alone, my friend, Jesus cannot pay your rent, you know it's hard. I try so hard to toe the line, but I just can't get it out of my mind. It's so hard to see. 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 It's so hard to see.
Thank you for tuning in, folks. I've got one more song for you. This It's our latest single, Leaders of a Lost Generation.
Cold hearts and desperate minds are craving for narcotics outside of cans. Yeah, we all wanna be seen, we all wanna be heard. Yeah, we sit there sucking our sleeves, not saying a word. We sit there on the curb outside, waiting for our ride to pick us up and take us on the journey through our lives. We know it won't come, but we'll wait anyway. Cause we ain't got anything else to do, no, we ain't got out to say. So I'll say, you've lost us somewhere in the books with the leaders of a lost generation. We're all down, yeah, we need a boost, so we know we won't see your face again. You've got our backs to the past, we don't believe in yesterday. I won't talk about tomorrow, cause there's just too much to say. But we're still tied up in the little things, we're all riddled with lies. I've been too close to the TV and gained square eyes. Now they all think we're stupid, but only we know the means of social networking and when tight jeans. No, we don't like to admit it, no, but it's only the truth. We're controlled by our image, our egos are off the fucking roof. So I'll say, you've lost us somewhere in the books with the leaders of the last generation. We're all down, yeah, we need a boost, so we know we won't see your face again. And so I'll stand here in the pouring rain with my mouth wide open, trying to swallow the pain. And I know it won't go away, it's still at the back of my throat, but I won't let Ruth my dinner know. So please let me know you've lost us somewhere in the books with the leaders of a lost generation. We're all down, yeah, we need a boost, so we know we won't see your face again. Now, say it now, we'll say it now, we're the leaders of a lost generation. Oh, pray and bow, oh, pray and bow, and oh, can't don't see you
Thank you very much, Root TV. Next time, get some air cones, I'm sweating my fucking tits off.
MMTV, what an amazing way to end a great show. The brilliant Scuttlers with a very special stripped-back acoustic set, and obviously finishing with, without a doubt, an anthem of a generation. And that last song they did, you can now buy via the Scuttlers social media channels on vinyl as well, yeah. And don't forget, the lads did have a gig It was meant to be earlier on in the year. It's rebooked for September at night and day. When it'll take place, we don't know, but support them, yeah, because it's important you support new music like Scuttlers. So that does bring us to the end of another MMTV. I've been Dave Sweetmore. We've been live from Marley Mancuni's studios in Manchester on a very, very special lockdown version. Like I said before, we normally have a big crowd with us tonight. It's just been the bands and the crew. Thank you so, so much for watching. Spread the word. Tell your friends. Thank you to all of our guests tonight, the legendary Dave Haslam, Paul Husband, Chuster Fox, Nidge Sanders for joining us, and of course all of our bands as well. The brilliant Scuttlers, Wigan's Stanleys Shade, and of course Tony Steele and The Massacre. On behalf of everyone behind the scenes at MMTV, Georgina, Anton and Fatnet, Kieran our soundman, and all of our brilliant camera crew, thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here for the next one for a few weeks, the last one for a few weeks, next Saturday night, 8 o'clock, the Pagans and Hoods and a load of other special guests. Make sure you're following MMTV Manchester on all the usual social media channels. Stay safe, look after yourselves, have the best week you possibly can. See you back here, 8 o'clock for another MMTV next Saturday night. I've been Dave Sweetmore. Take it easy. Good night.